Have you ever been in a conversation in English and you know exactly what you want to say in your own language, but your brain just freezes? You're busy translating word for word, sifting through grammar rules, and by the time you have the perfect sentence, the conversation has already moved on.
It's such a common and frustrating experience, isn't it? It feels like you're trying to run a race, but your feet are stuck in thick, heavy mud. Well, what if we told you there's a way to get unstuck? What if the real secret to fluency isn't just about learning more words, but about fundamentally changing the way your brain processes language?
Exactly. Today, we're going to talk about one of the biggest game changers in language learning, how to think in English so you can finally stop translating in your head and start speaking with the confidence and ease you've been working towards. Hello, and welcome to the English Listening Podcast. I'm your host, Harry.
And I'm Charlotte. It's wonderful to have you with us for another episode. Our mission here at the English Listening Podcast is to help you improve your English listening skills through natural English conversation, just like the one we're about to have. We believe that listening to authentic, unscripted sounding dialogue is one of the best ways to train your ear and your brain.
And in today's episode, we are tackling a massive topic, one that lies at the very heart of fluency, how to think in English, not in your native language. We're not just going to give you a few quick tips, we're going to do a deep dive. We'll explore the psychology behind it, break down a whole range of powerful and effective English learning strategies, and give you a complete roadmap from the very first baby steps to advanced techniques. This is your masterclass on how to speak English fluently.
That's right. This isn't about a magic trick. It's about retraining your brain and adopting a new language learning mindset. It might sound like a monumental task, but we promise that by breaking it down into small, manageable, and consistent practices, you can make real, tangible progress. So, if you're ready to unlock the next level of your English ability, get comfortable and let's get started. This episode is your definitive guide on how to think in English, not in your native language.
So, Charlotte, let's start with the foundational question. Why is it so critically important for English learners to learn how to think in English? Why can't they just get really fast at translating? I think a lot of learners see that as the end goal.
That's the perfect place to start, Harry, because it addresses a fundamental misconception. Many people believe that fluency is just instantaneous translation. But the truth is the two processes are completely different. When you're translating, your brain is performing a complex, multi-step operation. First, you formulate the idea in your native language, language A. Second, you access your mental dictionary to find the equivalent words in English, language B. Third, you have to consider the grammar and syntax of English, which is often completely different from your native language, and reorder the words correctly. Finally, you speak. That's a minimum of 4 steps for one sentence.
And that all happens in a split second, or at least that's the goal. But it's so much cognitive load. It's like trying to be a simultaneous interpreter for the United Nations, but for your own thoughts, and in the middle of a casual conversation about the weather. It's exhausting.
It's incredibly exhausting, and it's what causes that freezing we mentioned. The brain gets overloaded. But when you think in English, you cut out all those middle steps. The thought originates in English. Idea to English sentence. It's a direct path. That's the difference between being a fluent speaker and being a skilled but slow translator. The speed, the naturalness, the flow of conversational English, it all comes from this direct connection.
You also avoid what linguists call interlanguage interference, right? Where the grammar rules from your first language interfere with the English you're trying to produce?
Precisely. A classic example is with adjectives. In many languages, the adjective comes after the noun. So a Spanish speaker might translate the car red directly to the car red instead of the correct English, the red car. If they were thinking in English, they wouldn't make that mistake because the thought itself would be structured correctly from the beginning. It helps you to sound far more natural and is a cornerstone of good English conversation practice.
Okay, so we've established the why. It's about speed, accuracy, naturalness, and reducing mental effort. So, for our listeners who are now completely convinced, but are thinking, my brain is wired in my native language. How do I even begin to rewire it? What is the absolute first step?
The first step is the smallest, most non-intimidating one imaginable. You start with single words. That's it. You don't try to form sentences. You don't worry about grammar. You simply look at the world around you and label it in English in your head. I call this the active labeling method.
I love that. So as I'm sitting here in our studio, I'd look at the table and just think the word table. I see my cup of water and think cup. The microphone is microphone. I'm not thinking the word in my native language first. I'm forcing my brain to make a direct link between the physical object and the English word.
Exactly. You are creating a direct neural pathway. Object to English word. You are completely bypassing the old pathway, which was object to native language word to English word. You can do this anywhere, anytime. When you're making breakfast, you think egg, toast, coffee, kettle. When you're walking down the street, you think car, tree, building, sky.
You could even make a game out of it. Like, for the next 5 minutes, I'm going to mentally label everything I see in this room. It's a form of English brain training that feels more like a mindful observation exercise than a chore. What about for learners who are at home? I've heard a great tip is using sticky notes.
Oh, using sticky notes is a brilliant way to level this up. Go around your house and put a sticky note with the English name on everything. Put door on the door, window on the window, refrigerator on the refrigerator, mirror on the mirror. This creates a constant, passive reinforcement. Every time you go to get milk, you see the word refrigerator. It forces that direct association, and you'll be amazed at how quickly those specific words become automatic in English.
That's a fantastic practical tip. So once a learner feels comfortable with single word labeling, what's the logical progression?
The next step is to graduate from single words to very simple, descriptive sentences. I'm talking about the most basic sentences imaginable. The goal here isn't to be creative or profound. It's to build the habit of connecting words into a coherent thought in English.
You become the narrator of your own life.
So instead of just thinking coffee, I would extend it to, I am drinking coffee, or this coffee is hot, precisely. You're just describing your immediate reality. I am sitting on a chair. I am typing on my laptop. It is raining outside. I hear a bird. These are what you could call micro thoughts. They are short, they are simple, and they require very little mental effort. But what you're doing is getting your brain used to the rhythm and structure of an English sentence as the default way of expressing an idea.
I can see how this would be incredibly helpful for English for intermediate learners. They often have a decent vocabulary but struggle to stringing words together quickly. This exercise is like doing reps at the gym. You're strengthening that sentence-building muscle.
That's the perfect analogy, and crucially, it's a private exercise. This is all happening inside your head. There is no fear of making a mistake, no pressure of someone waiting for you to respond. You can be slow. You can correct yourself. It's a safe space to practice the fundamental mechanics of thinking in a new language. You could dedicate 5 minutes during your commute or while you're washing dishes to just narrate what you're doing. I am washing the plates. This water is warm. Now I am rinsing the soap. It might feel silly, but it's incredibly powerful.
I love that foundation. It's so accessible. Start with words, then build to simple sentences. Now, let's talk about the environment. Many learners feel disadvantaged because they don't live in an English-speaking country. But you're a big proponent of the idea that you can create your own immersion bubble, right?
Absolutely. In fact, in today's digital world, it's easier than ever. You don't need a plane ticket. You just need intentionality. The goal is to make English a constant and unavoidable part of your daily life. The single easiest and most impactful thing you can do is to change the language settings on your digital devices.
Ah, yes, the phone, the laptop, your social media accounts. Tell us why this is so much more than just a gimmick.
Because it transforms a passive object into an active learning tool. Think about how many times you unlock your phone each day. Dozens? Maybe hundreds? Every single time, you'll be greeted in English. Slide to unlock. You'll see the date in English. Your app names will be in English. When you get a notification, it will be new message or missed call. You'll learn essential modern vocabulary without even trying. Words like settings, notifications, network, storage. These are words you might not learn in a textbook, but you use them every day.
I remember when I did this with a language I was learning. The first week was a bit challenging. I had to consciously think about where things were, but after a week or two, it became completely automatic. I didn't even notice it was in another language anymore, which I guess was the point. My brain had adapted.
That's exactly it. You're creating a new normal for your brain. You are signaling to it that English is not a special occasion language, it's an everyday life language. This small change is a powerful piece of English language advice because it removes friction from your learning process.
Okay, so devices are set to English. What's next in building our immersion bubble? Media consumption, I assume.
Yes, and this is where it gets really fun. You need to start shifting your entertainment diet towards English. Let's break it down. Think about what you normally do to relax. Do you watch TV shows or movies? Do you listen to music? Do you listen to podcasts?
Let's start with TV and movies. The big question is always about subtitles. What's your take on the great subtitle debate?
The eternal question. Here's my breakdown. Level 1, beginner or lower intermediate. Watch in English with your native language subtitles. This is primarily for getting your ear used to the sounds and rhythm of English. You are mapping what you hear to the meaning you understand. It's a good first step, but you shouldn't stay here too long. Level 2, intermediate. This is the sweet spot for our topic today. Watch in English with English subtitles. This is an incredible tool. You are hearing the words and seeing them at the same time. This reinforces spelling, helps you catch words you might have missed, and allows you to pause and look up new vocabulary. This is a powerful form of active English listening practice. Level 3, upper intermediate or advanced. Watch in English with no subtitles. This is the ultimate goal. It forces you to rely solely on your listening skills and context to understand. It might be difficult at first, and you might only catch 70 to 80%, but that's okay. Your brain will work hard to fill in the gaps, which is an amazing exercise.
That's a really clear progression. And I would add, choose content you genuinely enjoy. If you hate science fiction, don't force yourself to watch Star Trek. If you love cooking shows, watch The Great British Bake Off. When you're interested in the content, it doesn't feel like studying.
Exactly. Motivation is key. Now, let's talk about audio, which is particularly relevant for our listeners. Music and podcasts. Listening to music in English is great for picking up slang, idioms, and the natural cadence of the language. You can look up the lyrics and sing along, which is fantastic for your pronunciation.
And podcasts, of course, are a goldmine. A show like our English Podcast for Learners is designed specifically for this purpose. But I'd also encourage listeners to find podcasts on topics they love. If you're into gardening, find a gardening podcast in English. If you love tech, find a tech podcast.
Yes, and you can apply the same active versus passive approach. You can have a podcast on in the background while you're doing chores. That's great passive listening. Or you can do active listening. Sit down with a notebook, pause when you hear a new phrase, write it down, and maybe even try to use it in a sentence later. That's how you truly improve English speaking abilities, just by listening. You're building your inventory of phrases and ideas that are already structured in a natural English way. When you need them later in a conversation, you don't have to build the sentence from scratch. You can just pull the whole perfectly formed phrase from your memory.
Okay, so we've made our environment English, rich. Our phones are in English, we're watching and listening to English media, but so far it's all been about input. Let's talk about shifting to output. This is where it gets a bit scary for learners.
It is, and that's why we start with the safest possible environment for output, talking to yourself. I know it can sound strange, but it is arguably one of the most powerful, low-pressure techniques there is. There is no one to judge you, no one to rush you. It is the perfect laboratory for practicing the skill of thinking in English.
I know some listeners just pictured themselves talking to a plant, but let's be more specific. What does this talking to yourself actually look like in practice?
It can take many forms. The simplest is just an extension of the narration we talked about earlier, but this time you say it out loud. Instead of just thinking, I am making coffee, you whisper it to yourself. Okay, I'm going to make some coffee now. Where is the filter? You're verbalizing your thought process.
So you're essentially becoming your own conversation partner. What about more structured practice?
Absolutely, you can level it up. Here are a few ideas. Idea 1, the daily summary. At the end of the day, stand in front of a mirror and spend 2 minutes telling your reflection what you did that day. Today was a busy day. I woke up at 6 a.m. First, I went to work and had a meeting with my team. The meeting was interesting. After work, I went to the gym. Idea 2, the opinion monologue. Pick a simple topic. It could be your favorite food, the last movie you saw, or your opinion on cats versus dogs. Then talk about it for 1 minute. My favorite food is pizza. I like pizza because you can have many different toppings. My favorite topping is pepperoni. I don't like pineapple on pizza. Idea 3, the problem solver. If you have a small problem to solve, try to talk through it in English. Okay, I need to be at the airport by 5 p.m. It's 3 p.m. now. The train takes 45 minutes, so I should probably leave the house around 3:30 to be safe. This is an incredibly practical way to force your brain to function and plan in English.
Those are brilliant, concrete examples. And what's happening here is you're practicing the entire thought-to-speech process in a controlled way. You're also identifying your own vocabulary gaps in real time. You'll be in the middle of a sentence and realize, I don't know the word for that. Which brings me to the next crucial tool, the dictionary.
Ah, yes, and this is where we need to introduce a major mindset shift. For years, your bilingual dictionary has been your best friend. It translates from your native language to English. If you want to learn how to think in English, you need to respectfully part ways with that friend and embrace a new one, the English to English or monolingual dictionary.
This is a huge step for learners. It feels like taking the training wheels off a bike. Can you explain in detail why this is so critical for breaking the translation habit?
I'd love to. Let's imagine you come across the word resilient in an article. The old way, bilingual dictionary. You look up resilient, your dictionary tells you it means equivalent word in your native language. Okay, you've learned a translation, but your brain has just reinforced the pathway between the two languages. You've stayed on the translation bridge. The new way, monolingual dictionary, you look up resilient. The dictionary defines it in English, able to withstand or recover quickly from difficult conditions. Then it gives you example sentences. She's a resilient girl. She won't be unhappy for long. Or, the local economy is surprisingly resilient. What has happened here is profound. You haven't left the English language. You have used English to understand English. You are thinking about the context and concept of the word, not just its translation. You are building a web of connections within English, which makes the word stick in your memory much more effectively.
You're staying inside the English bubble we talked about. It forces you to think critically in English. You might even have to look up a word in the definition. But that's all part of the process. It's more work initially, but the long-term payoff for your fluency is immense. It's one of the most concrete English fluency tips there is.
It is the single biggest tool to stop translating in your head. You are training your brain to seek meaning within the language itself. There are great online monolingual dictionaries like Merriam-Webster or the Oxford Learners Dictionaries that are designed for English learners with simpler definitions and more example sentences. Make one of them your new homepage.
Okay, Charlotte. We've built a solid foundation.
We're labeling our world, narrating our lives, living in an English bubble, talking to ourselves, and using the right kind of dictionary. Now it's time for the final frontier, talking to other people. This is the goal, but it's also the biggest fear.
It absolutely is. But all the steps we've taken have been preparing us for this moment. They're like the warm-up before the main event. The key is to find low-stakes opportunities for real English conversation practice. You don't have to jump into a high-pressure business negotiation on day one.
So, what are some good low-stakes options for finding conversation partners?
There are so many wonderful options today. Language exchange apps are a great starting point. Apps like Tandem or HelloTalk connect you with native English speakers who want to learn your native language. It's a mutual exchange, so the pressure is low. You can start with texting, then move to voice messages, and finally short calls. It's a gradual way to build confidence.
Online communities are another great resource. If you have a hobby, gaming, knitting, chess, whatever, find an online English-speaking forum or Discord server dedicated to it. You can start by just typing in the chat. You're talking about a topic you already know and love, which removes the pressure of having to think of something to say.
That's a fantastic tip. And for those who prefer something more structured, finding an online tutor on platforms like italki or Cambly for a 30-minute conversation once a week can be incredibly beneficial. It's a dedicated time for you to practice speaking with a professional who is there to help you.
Now, let's talk about the moment itself. You're in the conversation, your heart is pounding, you're trying to remember all this advice about thinking in English, but the old habit of translating is creeping back in. What do you do when you get stuck?
First, breathe. It's okay. The person you're talking to knows you're a learner. You don't have to be perfect. Second, have some scaffolding phrases ready. These are simple phrases you can use to buy yourself time or ask for help. Phrases like, just a moment, let me think. Or, how do you say, word in your native language? Use this sparingly. Or, what's the word for something that is, explain the concept. Or, could you say that again, please? Or, what does that word mean? Using these phrases is not a sign of failure, it's a sign of an active, engaged learner. You are still communicating even when you're stuck.
That's so important. It keeps the conversation going. And the more you have these real conversations, the more the process of thinking in English becomes automatic. Your brain realizes it's the most efficient way to handle the situation. It's the ultimate form of practice.
It is. But there is one more technique I want to discuss, which is a powerful way to consolidate everything we've talked about, and that is journaling.
Ah, writing. How does writing in a journal help you to think in English better?
Writing is thinking on paper. When you're speaking, everything is happening so fast. But when you write, you have time. You can slow down your thought process and really work on constructing your thoughts directly in English. It's the bridge between the simple narration exercise and the high-speed pressure of a real conversation.
So what could a learner write about? It doesn't have to be Dear Diary, right?
No, not at all, unless you want it to be. The key is consistency. A few sentences every day is better than a long essay once a month. You could do a gratitude journal. Today, I am grateful for 3 things: my morning coffee, a nice conversation with a friend, and finishing my work project. This is positive and uses simple sentence structures. You could do a daily log. Today, I went to the park, I saw many people, the weather was sunny, I ate a sandwich for lunch. This is basically the narration exercise, but written down. Or, my personal favorite for this topic, a language learning journal. You can write about your progress in English. Today, I learned 5 new words. I tried using the English to English dictionary for the first time. It was difficult, but I understood the definition of resilient. I feel proud of myself.
That's brilliant because it's reflective. You're thinking about your learning process in English. That's a very meta and powerful way to reinforce these new mental habits. It builds self-awareness and solidifies what you've learned. It's the capstone that brings all the other techniques together.
Wow, that was a true deep dive, Harry. We've covered so much ground, from the fundamental brain science to a whole host of practical exercises. Maybe we should do a quick recap of the roadmap we've laid out for our listeners who want to think in English, not in your native language.
An excellent idea. All right, here is the English Listening Podcast Guide to Thinking in English. First, understand the why. Remember that thinking in English is about creating a direct path from idea to speech. It's faster, more natural, and less mentally draining than translating. Second, start with the foundational steps. Begin by actively labeling single objects around you in English: chair, window, book. Then graduate to narrating your own life in very simple present tense sentences. I am walking. I am drinking water. Third, build your immersion bubble. Change the language on all your devices to English. Shift your media diet. Watch movies and listen to podcasts like this one and music in English using subtitles strategically to support your learning. Fourth, activate your output in a safe space. Start talking to yourself. Summarize your day, give your opinion on a topic, or talk through a problem out loud. This is your private rehearsal studio. Fifth, make the monolingual shift. This is a non-negotiable step. Start using an English-to-English dictionary to look up new words. Learn to understand English through English to break the translation habit for good. This is one of the most vital English fluency tips.
Sixth, engage in real-world interaction. Find low-stakes opportunities to talk with people like language exchange apps or online hobby groups. Prepare scaffolding phrases to help you when you get stuck. And finally, consolidate with journaling. Write a few sentences in English every day. This slows down the thinking process and allows you to practice structuring your thoughts directly in English without pressure.
That's a fantastic summary. And the most important thread running through all of this is patience and consistency. This is not an overnight change. It's a new habit you are building. Be kind to yourself, celebrate the small victories, and trust the process.
Well said, Charlotte. And a huge thank you to all of you for joining us for this in-depth episode of the English Listening Podcast. We hope this comprehensive guide gives you the tools and the confidence to start your journey towards thinking in English.
It was an absolute pleasure. We truly believe that mastering this skill is one of the most transformative things you can do for your fluency. If you enjoyed today's episode and our conversational style, please don't forget to subscribe to English Listening Podcast, leave a comment with your own tips or questions, and share it with your friends who are learning English.
Your support means the world to us and allows us to keep creating detailed content for dedicated English learners like you. Until next time, keep practicing.